hey, we threw a capacitor at it, we threw a contactor at it, still doesn't work. Must be a compressor. Well, what do you mean it must be a compressor? Like, figure it out, right?
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Make Trades Great Again podcast. It's Eric and Andy. Andy, you have got some van talk to talk about, but before we get into it, I want to remind everybody and thank them, first of all, for messaging us. We've been getting more messages lately, so maybe this upfront intro is working.
That's right.
If you're on Spotify, you're on Apple, it's really easy. There's a link in the show notes. You can text us and give us a message, feedback, whatever it is. It comes straight to us. We don't know who you are. We just see what city you're in. So you could tell us, too, where you're at or your name or whatever. So there you go. Give us feedback. We're asking, we're wanting it, and we appreciate it.
Yep.
Andy, van talk.
Van talk.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you've had some crap going down with one of the transits?
Yeah, it started I don't know, a week ago or so.
Or
I mean,
didn't it start?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, basically it started, but it didn't start.
Yeah. See how clever I am there?
Yeah, no, you were sucked that one right in.
I'm on a roll.
So yeah, Miles gives me a call first thing in the morning. He's like, van won't start. It's on Tuesday. And I was like, what? He's like, no, it won't start. And I'm like, well, what do you like? What's it doing? He's like, the dash lights come on, the radio's on, the headlights are on. It just won't start. Like, it
no
doesn't do
clicking
anything.
either.
What's that?
No click either.
No click, no nothing. Like,
Yeah,
it's just
nothing.
not doing anything. So I'm like, all right.
At this point, it's like basically like a giant iPod.
Yeah.
You can just play music if you want, right? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Yeah. And you can turn the fan on the HVAC side of it, but you can't, it won't ever get warm or cold.
It's a very expensive tent at this point in time.
Basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yes.
Not funny.
Yeah.
Not funny.
It's a potentially rolling tent where where it was parked. It was not rolling, but anyway. So I'm like, all right, well, what's your battery voltage? And, he's kind of checking. He's like, I don't know, it's like 12 and a half, and I'm like, well, it's plenty to start the van. I mean, that's what they normally are. And
well, if it's not close to 12, then maybe battery.
Right. And that's what I'm thinking. Like, well, is it dead? Does what? I mean, do we have a bad battery? I mean, that van is a 2020, so it's like, it's possible. It's, coming up on 4 years old. And anyway, so we roll through a couple things and I'm like, all right, well, I'm not sure where to go. I have to go. I had a 8:00 call. So I'm like, Cheryl's going to come bring you another van. Right.
Yeah.
So we had the other van that's empty. So she grabs that. She went down and picked him up in her car, brought him out to the shop. They took a, big armload of tools or whatever, brought him out to the shop. He grabs the other van, goes on about his day. Right. So end of the day, throughout the course of the day, I'd made a couple of phone calls, to some friends and, did a bunch of Google searching on, what causes a transit van to not start.
Yeah.
And a handful of people were like,
hope to never Google, by the way.
Yeah.
Like,
Exactly.
I don't need to know this.
Yeah. Couple of knowledgeable sources said, we're having a lot of starter issues with Ford Transits.
Yeah.
It's probably a starter. I'm like, okay. All right. I mean, I guess. So I figure out AutoZone's got a starter. I grab the starter, head down. I'll try to go change the starter out in Miles's driveway. And so I get down there and
hold on. Instead of like fixing heating systems or being the plumber that you are, now you're fixing cars.
Yeah, this is the job of the boss
because nobody local can get to it.
Yeah, basically I called around the shops and everybody's like, yeah, we're like a week.
Oh,
that's
not going to really work out well.
So let's see if I can get it fixed first. Mm-hmm. And hopefully it's something simple. So I grabbed this starter, it's like $200 or something like that at AutoZone. Head down to Miles's place and get underneath the van. Can't jack it up because it's parked on a little bit of an incline. It's just not a good place to be underneath a van with a scissor jack, and I'm just like,
and there's not a lot of room underneath it either.
No. Luckily I've been working out a little bit, so I'm a little bit thinner in the midsection.
Yeah.
And I get underneath there, do some fiddle farting around, and I'm like, looking at some stuff, and I'm like, it's not. I don't think it's a starter. I don't think it is. But I'm like, I don't know how I can test this, but I guess I got a new starter. So I take the starter out, and the new starter that I got from AutoZone's not the right one. Right. So it's a little different shape. Bolt holes are similar, except the new starter has threaded holes. The one I took out has bored holes. So there's like no threads. It's just a bolt slips through them.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, that's not going to work.
No.
And so anyway, I'm like, all right, start calling around. Nobody's got a starter for it. Right. Call Ford. They're like, nah, we don't have one. We can get one, but we don't have one here. I'm like, all right, well, I guess order me a starter. And so I'm frustrated.
Wait. Why was it wrong? Was there
the bolt holes? Like it'd be like,
well, how come they gave you the wrong starter? Like, how did they fix that?
That's the one that's listed for that van. And apparently, based on the serial number, Ford looked it up and they had the right one immediately. But because like AutoZone and whatnot, they go by model year.
Yeah.
Somewhere maybe this is an early model or a late model 2020. I'm not sure.
I gotcha. So something changed on Ford's on the manufacturing side.
Something apparently changed. And I haven't climbed underneath of mine to see if it's any different. I didn't. I guess I didn't.
Why would you?
But
why don't you take it off and then
maybe I should see if I can break two.
Yeah, exactly.
So anyway, kind of get pissed off, and I'm like, well, I'm standing out in Miles's yard. This isn't going to work. And I'm like, well, I guess I got to order the starter, right?
Did you tow the van?
Yeah. So then I'm like, all right, well, so the next morning I call the local tow shop and I'm like, hey, I need you to go get this van and bring it to my shop. And they're like, okay. So they go out, they put it on a rollback.
Because you're going to put the new starter in when it shows up?
Yeah. And I'm like, I'd rather do it in the shop. I'd rather be able to push the van in the shop and jack the thing up with, I got a regular floor jack and jack stands and like stuff to work on.
Have a little more room,
yeah.
Got a light
and I got a concrete pad, where it was parked at Miles, it was like a gravel driveway.
Ouch.
So anyway, we get the van here. Let's see, what was that? The van shows up on Wednesday when they towed it. Starter shows up Thursday night. I didn't have time to get to the Ford dealership to get the starter picked up Thursday night. Bunch of stuff going on. So Friday morning, I'm like, all right, I'm going to go grab the starter. Ton of, just go get all my calls done. I ended up getting home at like, I don't know, 4:30 or something like that.
Yeah.
On Friday and ate dinner. Like, okay, I'm going to go work on the van. And I come out, jack the van up or get the shop clean, moved enough stuff so I can get in there and work around it. And I use my 4-wheeler and I towed the van into the shop with the 4-wheeler. So I didn't have to try and push it, and, got it in there, get it jacked up, get the starter changed. Won't start.
But it's the right starter this time.
It's the right starter, bolted right in. Boy, she went right in. And I'm like, God dang it. The heck is going on here? But in all along, so that here we are from Tuesday.
You had questioned it from the beginning.
Yes, 100%. I was like, you know what? Here's the moral of the story. And this is
Wait, you can't tell us the moral until we're done.
Okay,
no, go ahead.
Fine, I'll wait.
No, go ahead. Sorry.
That's fine. It's fine. You'd be that way.
You be conventional.
So I go back to the basics, right? I'm texting my buddy, he's a Ford mechanic out in Wisconsin or Michigan. And I'm like, hey, all right, here's the scenario. He's like, could be anti-theft, like the immobilizer, right? Could be a bad key, could be this, could be that. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to start ruling some things out.
Yeah.
Not the key, because the engine, like everything recognizes the key. Like you put the key in, you turn it, all the lights come on. It doesn't give you the anti-theft thing. And I'm like, okay, it's not that, key seems to fit, whatever. So I'm like, dude, I have a Fluke Connect, right? So I have a FC 905, 907, something like that.
Yeah.
Multimeter.
Yep.
And alligator clips. So I clip it on the starter and clip it on the ground and hook it up to my phone so I can see it while I'm in the cab and turn the key. I got 12 volts at the starter. Why do I not have a click? And I start going back to, the basics, right? So But let me back up one step. Prior to this, I'd spent about an hour and a half swapping parts off of my other van, like starter relays, checked a couple of different fuses, swapped a mega fuse, I mean, things that it's like, it tests, it should be fine. Well, I guess whatever. I'm dead in the water here anyway.
Yeah.
I go back to, back to basics, probably where I should have started in the beginning.
Well,
right?
sometimes,
Hindsight.
we make an assumption, something like a starter. It's like, well, starter's out, battery's out, like, yeah.
And so I should have probably started there in the first place because I had 12 volts, right? To like the chassis ground up on the CPU.
Yeah.
Up in the engine compartment. So I'm like, okay, well, I got a ground there and I've got 12 volts at the starter. Why is the starter not clicking? And so I'm kind of fiddling around and I'm like, well, screw it. So I take the alligator clip, the ground clip, and clamp it to a bolt on the top of the engine. Right. And I'm like,
okay,
turn the key. No 12 volts. What
so
the heck?
Broken at ground.
And I'm like, my engine's not grounded. What in the world is going on here? So I go back down underneath on the starter. One of the bolts that mounts the starter also holds a ground strap on. I'm like, it's grounded right there, And so I'm like, what the heck? So I follow this ground wire across, and the damn thing is mounted to this like bus bar, if you will, that's got a stud sticking out of it. And the other end of this ground strap is just slipped on that stud, and it should have had a nut holding the whole thing together. The nut's missing.
God. So it's literally...
There's an 8mm nut.
That probably vibrated its way off that stud.
You'd think so. I don't know.
Probably.
Well, so here's where I roll back to, though. The ground strap that goes from the starter to this stud is attached to the cross member that was taken out by Ford like 2 months or 3 months ago when they replaced an exhaust manifold.
So they either didn't put the nut on or they didn't torque it down a little bit.
Right.
And it, damn it. So you're on the second, you're 3 starters in. You had one that was perfectly fine.
Right.
You bought the wrong one, or you were sold the wrong one.
Yeah.
Now you have now you have a backup starter.
I have a backup starter
installed. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it came down to a 40-cent nut.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. and I don't know, like, $225 to tow it. And,
no, so we've talked about this. This goes right back to that conversation about should I buy a new van or a used van? I'm not talking about your purchase here.
Yeah.
This plays into that. Vehicles just go with me for a second here.
It's
Big
expense.
picture. This whole thing costs you a lot more than a couple starters and a couple hours of your time.
Yeah.
Because now you got the office boss going out playing Uber.
Playing Uber.
And you got, think about it, right?
Yeah.
And then you got a guy who's like, he's going through his own things. He doesn't want to deal with this.
Yeah.
And so now he's entering a work day or two where he's like, I got to work out of this empty ass van.
He's got nothing. Yeah. And
he's got
on
nothing.
Boiler services.
And it's so complicated to do that. It just is. It's not this woe is me. This is not productive.
Oh, no.
And
for a week.
Yes. And so now production is down literally. Like you could probably see it if you were like graphing it closely.
Yeah.
And it's not his fault. It's not his fault.
No, he came out and got parts a couple times out of his van, grabbed some more pack outs and grabbed some stuff. But inevitably, it was, we have to look at it and go, well, we can't send Miles on anything that's like this.
Yeah.
Not because he can't do it, because he doesn't have the tools. He doesn't have the parts for it. Right.
Well, and let me say this though, because I think somebody's probably thinking it, like all of this is going to happen. Like, look, vehicles break down.
Yeah.
I'm not making the argument like, I'm not trying to make an argument against the vehicle should, buy the right vehicle and won't break down. Well, no, in extreme cases, that's a true statement, but things just happen. Like I get that, But my point was, like, when I'm comparing to that conversation we had, it was a great episode, I think, and people like it because they download it a lot. And I wish I knew the number of it right now, but like, what does it cost to be broken down? And this is just a little bit of a story behind that. But if you really were to tally it up, I bet you we could come up with a
tangible number. I'd guess.
Yeah, I think it would be reliable.
Yeah, I'd guess if you threw my time in it, it's somewhere 2,500 to $3,000.
Well, yeah. What did you miss out on? Right. So, like, that's the other thing that is hard to grasp unless you're used to running a business and you see what, things cost and you understand what losing on a job really means, or having to take, not be able to serve as a customer because you can't get to them, that kind of thing. And maybe they go somewhere else. Like, all of these things you have to experience it a little to have that perspective. But even as much as working on a vehicle, which you had to do, like,
yeah.
It really does in the end, the costs are a lot different than you think of, initially. Like, oh, it's just a part and a little bit of time and I'm done. Yeah, I wish it were that simple, to be honest with you. It's not.
Yeah, no.
Like, for me lately, that would be it because I'm slow as heck. Like, if my vehicle is broke down, I'd be like, well, I'm working on it. I got nothing else to do Thursday afternoon. You know what I mean? Like, right. I ain't got nothing on the books until, so... Yeah. That it's different scenario for everyone, but ultimately it can add up big time.
Yeah,
there's no doubt.
Yeah, I don't know. So I guess the moral of the story is
so here
we'll get to the juicy part. Is don't assume. I mean, like, figure out what's broke, right?
Yeah.
It's so many technicians go out and about their day and just start throwing parts at stuff, right? I mean, in a lot of cases, we're halfway trained to do that. Is that, hey, well, you just replace the capacitor. Why?
Right? Because it's it's a small part, cheap, easy to replace.
In the grand scheme of things, the starter's cheap.
Yeah,
it's not the problem, right?
No.
And in some cases, you find that, hey, we threw a capacitor at it, we threw a contactor at it, still doesn't work. Must be a compressor. What do you mean it must be a compressor? Like, figure it out, right? And that's exactly what I ended up doing. Is I walked out or went down there, and I had thought forward, what does this starter need? It needs 12 volts to turn, right?
Yeah, okay. But you checked the battery, so you assume the battery was fine. Yep.
Yeah, but I didn't follow that process down the line all the way, and in hindsight, I got the thing running, and I'm like, you son of a.
Well, I think,
it would have been so easy to find that, right? Because I probably have an 8mm stainless steel nut on my van. Almost guaranteed I do.
Well, here's the deal, though. Like, in your defense, you're right. Your message is spot on. And you're not being hard on yourself either. I get it. It's also frustrating. But the fact that, for me, the strap was whoa, wait, what? That came out of left field. And here's why. Right. Because the radio works, the heat works, I got lights. That's what he says, right? And then you hit the light, nothing's happening, nothing's dimming, that's battery, right? Like, right. We got a dead cell, we got something's wrong with the battery. Power source isn't enough. I turn the key and I got nothing. Yep. All my presets are gone. Okay, now we're not talking about a starter. We're certainly not talking about a ground cable, right? Because everything worked. But of course, they're separate circuits from, which makes sense too. Like, the lights aren't tied to the starter. Yeah.
Here's the thing. And I don't know how exactly, I'm not going to pretend that I'm a electrical engineer on a vehicle. It baffles me that we didn't get all kinds of sensor faults.
Yeah.
As Miles had been driving it for the last 2 months, like knock sensors or misfires or, whatever,
because there's a
emissions faults. Because all of that stuff relies on a ground and it relies on voltage. And so if you've got goofy grounding, then theoretically that should cause goofy voltage, readings and poor emissions readings. But apparently that stuff is grounded separately is my only thought. It must be that computer that all that talks to is grounded differently and it doesn't use the engine ground to do that. I don't know.
Right. Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah. I don't know either. But it seems like it is. It seems like we know the answer. It must be.
I wrenched down the nut, clean the cable off. I had a lock nut, like a nylock,
Yeah.
and screwed that on, tightened it down, jumped in the cab, boom, fired it up. I'm like,
That
was about,
frustrating.
I don't know, 9 o'clock Friday night, 9:30 Friday night. So about 5 hours into the Friday night episode. So
I mean, I know why you have the other van, and it'd be nice to have that out there working, but
sure,
pretty handy that you had it.
It's made me question if I hired another guy, would I just go buy another van?
What if you had just
I mean, it's a
what if you
write-off.
found just a low roof one or something that could be used for like a delivery or something? Huh?
But why?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you're right.
And I've thought that, it's like, well, what if I put somebody in this van? What would I put in the yard to to replace it, if you will, like to have
a cab with
this is stupid.
I'd say a cab and a bed, flatbed, like a utility van.
Yeah, something with a lift gate would be awesome.
Yeah. Tommy gate on the back of it.
Yeah. I have been, this is weird because that van that is the spare van is a 22. It's 22. It's got like 14,000 miles on it. That's the one I hit the deer with that I was driving. So it's like shelved out and whatever. I took all the stuff out of it, is all the pack outs and everything went into the 23 that I'm driving right now. That wasn't built out when I wrecked the other one. And so now they're both kind of built out. I need to put all the stuff back on the 22, on the spare van. It needs to be basically completely kitted out. And that's like a thing that I need to do right now. What I've been using it for, and this is stupid, is to haul scrap metal. It's like, cause it's like, oh, I got this air conditioner. Well, we'll take it apart, put the metal in the van, and then once every other week or something like that, one of the kids will get off, or Dylan will be home early. I'll be like, hey, take that van down to Pacific and unload it.
Yeah. Yeah. You need to not have it full of scrap in case somebody's starter doesn't work.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Well, so the morning that Miles came to grab it, there was these huge copper heat exchangers in it. And so, I went out before I was leaving the house, and I'm like, okay, I probably should throw those off to the side so that he's not dealing with them. And I opened the door, and the one was this sooted up, Burkay copper coil, like A.O. Smith copper coil boiler. Yeah. The secondary heat exchanger on that, I don't know. I have no idea what it was. Some sort of chemical reaction with the gas or something.
Yeah.
Smelled like cat urine.
Gross.
And I didn't recognize it until after I put it in that van, and it had been closed up for 4 or 5 days. And I opened the van up, and I'm like, what the
freaking eyes are watering?
What is that? And so I just left the van open, all the doors open, and Cheryl drops Miles off. She's like, did you know that the van was wide open? And I'm like, yeah, I did that. Sorry, Miles.
Oh,
he's going to ride in a litter box for the day.
Yikes. Yikes.
I blew it out, hosed her down with some simple green lemon, trying to get the smell out, but it had permeated. So now he got to drive the lemon scented cat box for a day. He's
simple green, by the way.
Yeah. That stuff works good.
It does. You ever use it just to clean the rubber on the sidewalls of your tires?
No.
I honestly think it's the only thing that cleans tires so they don't look nasty later on. Like they don't.
Yeah.
It works for so many things.
Try that. So we've been buying, if I can get the lemon scented simple green, I'll get that. The other one is Mr. Clean Power Scrub. Something like that. Lemon scented.
You ever buy the pink stuff?
No, I don't buy the pink stuff. I like the pink stuff is great for cleaning stainless steel though, and toilets.
I buy pink stuff at Menards because it seems to be a pretty good cleaner. I think it's just called the pink stuff, right? Stuff.
Yeah, it's like a paste. Yeah.
No, it's a spray bottle.
Oh, you got to get the pink stuff paste. Like it comes in a tub. It looks like
a compound.
It's like a compound.
Okay.
So here's I got 2 tips. Don't let me forget the second one. First one, if you do snake a toilet,
Yeah.
right? You know, your closet auger almost
Will
always
leave
leaves
a
that
mark,
little
yeah.
scuff in the bottom,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? Take pink stuff on a rag, right in the water, wipe it right off.
Yeah.
It's gone. You got a hard water
I would
stain on
imagine. You know
like
why
changing
you
a
know
lav
how I
faucet?
took care of it?
How's that?
Plumber's putty.
Yeah, I've heard that. I don't carry plumber's putty anymore, so
I don't either, and so it's good to know about the pink stuff, though. I've only seen it in the spray bottle. I buy it at Menards. It's cheap and it works really well. It smells kind of funny though.
if you're commonly replacing lav faucets on porcelain sinks, right?
The
That's a thing.
compound, yeah,
The compound is freaking bomber because you can polish the porcelain back up, and you can't tell. I mean, you can. You have to get in there and clean all the calcium buildup and everything off, but that stuff will help buff out all of that, and
yeah,
your new faucet looks a lot better.
that's cool. That's cool. That's a good tip. Do you ever use those magic eraser sponge things?
Yeah.
They work really well too, but you got to get on there must be like an expiration on them or something. You ever bought them and they like crumble apart on you?
They dry up. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I think you
humidity
got to
gets
get
to
them like,
Yeah.
yeah.
I always put them in a Ziploc bag.
Well, so I'm not good at this crap. I don't, I don't normally have it. And I bought it. I'm like, this is cool. And then I bought it again and it was like all crumbly. I'm like, what's going on? And then the only thing I could come to figure out why that was that way was that it must have there's a time limit on the damn thing.
Right.
You had a second tip.
Second tech tip. Talking about Simple Green and lemon.
Yeah.
If you're out and you're doing home service, right? You're doing whatever. Grab the Mr. Clean Power Spray lemon or the Simple Green lemon. Lemon I think is the key. Leave it in your tool bag, whatever, in your go bag. You get in, get all done, spray a little bit on a paper towel, wipe your surfaces down, clean the counter up, whatever.
Yeah.
It does two things. Well, do that if like
I can tell you
changing
what
a
it
faucet,
does, but yeah.
right?
Yep.
It gives the homeowner the thought that this is a very clean job because it smells clean.
Yep. So I do the
here.
exact same thing for the exact same reason.
Yeah.
Like I brought up a minute ago, the smell of the pink stuff's kind of weird. Okay, that stuff works really well.
Yeah.
First
I
of
haven't
all, the
used the
spray,
spray.
like it's a very good cleaner. That's why I like it. It works on these goopy, gross kind of stains that could happen on like a mechanical room floor.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay. It smells weird though. But I also have like a Clorox Complete or something, and it's got a lemon scent to it.
Yeah.
Or it's citrus or something, right? And it's Clorox, so it's also gonna kill, it's chlorine, so it's gonna kill like 99% of everything. Sure. Okay, perfect. That's what I need. That's useful.
Yeah.
Technically, like logistically useful, but it is 100% about the smell. Well, first of all, I want to leave something cleaner than it was when I got there, if I can. Yeah. If it doesn't mean a major overhaul of, you know what I mean? But yeah, you work under somebody's kitchen sink because they had a little drip, or you're putting a disposal in, or you just literally just spray down the furnace real fast on the outside. It was dusty when you got there. Now it's not shiny and it smells good.
Yep.
It does really matter. And it's because I can say that from personal experience, because I get the comment all the time. Oh, it smells, you must have cleaned up.
Oh,
you
must
didn't
have
have to do
cleaned
that.
in here. Oh.
Yes.
Yeah,
if they noticed, it's a positive.
Yes. Where can I pay the bill?
Exactly.
Right?
No, it seems like such a simple tip, but I'm glad you brought it up because I've done it for exactly that reason for so long now.
Yep.
I think there's always like 4 or 5 bottles of something.
A long time. We haven't done it. I mean, it isn't something that I've done for a long time. I'm pretty sure it was Miles that was like, "Hey, can you get me some Simple Green lemon?" And I was like, "What do you want that for?" And I just got regular Simple Green. He's like, "Oh, I like the lemon."
I didn't even know
customers really like it. And I was like, interesting. So
I need a jug. I buy it by the jug, so I'm gonna have to look for lemon. I didn't even know it existed. I just thought it was always that weird Simple Green smell.
Yep. No, the lemon smells like Mr. Clean lemon. It smells like everything else lemon. It's fine.
That stuff's good though.
Yeah.
Like serious.
Lowe's.
Try it on the rubber of your tires. The sidewalls.
Yeah.
Works.
But
nicely.
you know what? I've identified that at my Lowe's here in Missoula, Montana, the stocking number of Simple Green lemon like the maximum number of bottles that they will stock is 2.
Oh, that's lame.
So you go in there and there's the shelf and you're like, oh, they have 2. I buy 2 and like they don't have it for like a week or a week and a half, and then they have 2.
Yeah, everybody else is like, oh, that
Who's
Andy
the prick
went
buying
in.
both the bottles?
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry.
Fix that, Lowe's. Lowe's, and I know you're listening.
Yeah.
They're always listening.
They are. Especially
Big
the
fans of
purchasing agent.
Yeah, they're big fans
we
of the
tag 'em.
podcast.
Yeah, they're
All right, dude.
it's in the hashtags.
Hashtag Lowe's. I'm good. You good?
I'm good. I got
I'm glad
nothing
your
else.
van. I'm glad Miles' van is back
Yeah.
up and running.
Nah, he was excited Monday morning to come get his van.
Oh, I'm sure he was. All right, dude.
So, all right. Later.
See you.